Hi, this is your host, Woodie Landeros. You're listening to Shut Up and Fail. Today, I am with Will Santos.
Hey man, how you doing?
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Will Santos. I am a tracking and mix engineer from the San Fernando Valley.
Very nice. And you own your own studio, correct?
I do. I run Goldmine Studios out of the San Fernando Valley for all the local artists. So it's been pretty dope.
Nice. I was interested in the name. Like, where'd you come up with Goldmine Studios?
When people ask me that, they don't believe me when I tell them the story. But long story short, one of my best friends, who's actually still in the music industry, he's a manager for a great pop artist. We try to come up with that at Hooters, actually, out of all places. And we really wanted to do like two things that last forever. And we were just thinking of the word gold. We like the word gold because people still want it. People still look for it. It lasts forever. So we're like, how can we incorporate the word gold and do something timeless? So we're like, mind. Like your mind is a powerful thing, right? So then we're like, gold lasts forever. We put the two together on a napkin, on a Hooters napkin. And he was like, we were like, gold mines. That sounds cool. And then we just ran with that, and that's how it got its name.
So I don't know if you know this or not, but I used to own a clothing line called Gold Kills.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so
sick.
that, like when I saw Gold Mined, I was like, yo, this is sick.
That's sick. That's crazy.
And Gold Kills was, well, gold represented money, power, and fame, and how it could destroy the person inside of you.
Of course, okay.
And so, but then on the opposite side, how you can enjoy your life like no matter where you're at in your life, like whether you're rich, poor, short, tall, whatever it is, like you can enjoy your life. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And one thing, like I've been getting emails about this Shut Up and Fail podcast for different people to be on here. But what really caught my eye when you had emailed me, well, for one thing, it's the consistency and the dedication that you had to actually email me, because like I suck at emails, guys. Like I'm trying to keep up with them, and I'm trying to respond in a timely manner. So I do respect, like, you know, how you actually.
Oh, no doubt.
You're dealing with my downfall right now.
You're good, man.
But he was emailing me, and one thing he said is that he gave up as an artist, and we'll go through that later on of what that actually, what he was talking about. But for me, like, I have a direct connection with that statement. So, yeah, I'm really inspired. I'm seeing all of his stuff. He has his website out. He has the music, like different artists. Like, I'm talking like a person that works like just as hard or even harder than me. And that just is like going and going and going. Like every time I think about posting, he already posted. You know what I mean? Like these are the type of people in your lives that you need to have to like challenge you, to push you to the next level. Go ahead and tell me, like, what does your day to day like life look like?
So day to day, I wake up, probably have a cup of coffee. Obviously, I never used to be a fan, but when you're in this business, man, I kind of run on it. So do that. I usually check emails. Usually it's people inquiring about wanting me to work on a song or a whole project or a certain idea. And then I got some mixes or revisions that I have to send. So a lot of people don't know.
Those are the best.
Yeah, man. So sometimes it could be like, can you turn this down half a dB, and then sometimes it's like, can I have this and this change and this? So it just really varies on the artist and how much trust they have in you and whatnot. I do those, get those out the way. Midday, I'm usually starting a mix from someone that recorded during that same week.
Yeah.
Around 12 or 1, I take my lunch, come back to the studio, and then in the afternoon is where I do all my tracking sessions. So that's when I actually have people come into the studio and record their song. And then once that's over, I give myself about an hour break just to let my ears rest.
Yeah.
So that when I get back to mixing, I tackle something fresh with a clear perspective. You don't want to go in there with tired ears or whatnot.
For the people that don't know what dB is, go down a dB.
It means the decibel. It's just you're just turning it down like a tiny bit, right?
I need a little bit of help, as you can see with my audio.
No, you're good.
It's a very simple setup. I was actually hoping for you to help me out with some of this stuff.
Without a doubt.
Because it's just a work in progress. I'm trying to figure out at the same time as video and everything else.
Oh, of course. I got you.
So with that whole fresh mind, like how are you booking these people? Like like I would imagine that somebody that's starting out a studio would get just frustrated or would get even like, down on themselves about trying to find the right artist or about finding multiple artists to record with you.
Right. I was lucky because, like, like I mentioned to you, I started off as an artist.
Yeah.
I was a rapper, and not I don't want to say a lot, but a lot of the clients that I've been working with for years are people that I knew in the music scene while I
Yeah.
was still an artist. So it's just people that like trusted me when they were like, okay, so this is what you're doing now. Let me record with you and see where it takes me or where it
Yeah.
takes my music. And once they did, and they saw the potential, because at that time I wasn't great.
Yeah.
I want to say I
And you
wasn't great.
started how young again?
I started making music when I was 14.
Wow.
With a neighborhood friend of mine, and that's kind of how the story kind of unravels into how I ended up being a mix engineer, how I ended up, coming up with my own studio, Goldmine Studios, and really start building a name and a brand for myself around my city. Like,
Yeah.
so a lot of my clients come from various different places. Like I live in the San Fernando Valley, and I have a client that lives in Palm Springs. And he comes down on a Wednesday night, man. Book 7 to 11 p.m.
Wow.
And then Thursday morning, he's back at work. I was like,
Dang.
well, you have tomorrow off, right? That's why you booked today? He's like, no, I go in at 8 tomorrow. I'm like, dude,
Dedicated
and
people.
Long Beach, some people out of state that have come just to record.
Yeah.
So
Well, even you came down here. How long did
I
you take to
came
get over
like
here?
an hour and a half, man.
Hour and a
It was
half.
It was a drive, man. It was
Hour
a
and a
drive.
half.
But so
I had no idea you lived that far.
yeah, I live pretty far,
Yeah.
man. It's about a good hour and a half. But that's kind of how it all started. And then once I came up with the name, I decided, like, okay, well, obviously I'm gonna put it out on social media. I'm gonna make sure I do good work, quality work, and let the word of mouth do its thing. I mean, I have a website, I have a business card. Don't get me wrong. I think those things are essential for your business, no matter what business you're in.
Yeah.
Especially the creative business. But I think your best business card would always be word of mouth, man. It's your work.
Yeah.
It's what people drive 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to come, and record with me. And I've known people who I'm like, I know someone that's from your city that's actually really good as well. Like, I can link you guys up. You know, he's like, no, like, we're good. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, I have to be doing something right, man.
Yeah.
It's a special feeling, definitely.
Yeah, I think anybody that mentions the word quality or perfection,
Right.
you probably go through a lot mentally when you're producing these things because you want everything to be perfect. I know for myself, I'm a perfectionist, and my recent thing, in the past like 2 years has been failure.
Right.
So I know that you have a few failure stories in there, or at least mental failure stories, because it gets frustrating. I want to go back to when you were 14 years old, 15 years old, making this music, actually like going out there and just trying to become someone. When you were transitioning out of that, how did you feel? Like, I'm sure you probably went through something like you had this dream. How did it feel to close that book?
It was tough because I feel like at that moment I was the best artistically. I feel like I was like really understanding how to deliver my music, really finding my sound after all these years. And now I had to just close that book and then jump into something, it is completely different because now you're mixing these records. You're not recording. You're on the other side of the glass,
Yeah.
So it was tough because, like I said, I've been doing it since I was, like, let's say 14, 13 years old. And when I had to just be like, you know what, this is what I want. I'm going to transition into being a mix engineer. I was about 21, 22. And I had been grinding for years and years. So when I got to the decision, it was tough. But as time went on, just all these other things that were happening in my life, in my career, let me know that you made the right decision.
Yeah. So after 7 years of trying to become, this music artist, and then going on the other side and recording for someone else, did you feel any sort of jealousy from, making someone else or did you feel like that could be me?
I mean, yeah, I did see a couple people just like in the local scene start taking off. And I kind of feel like maybe if I would have gave it another year or two, I could have booked that gig. I could have been, in that showcase or that big show opening up for that big artist. But the thing is, the way that everything happened was so naturally because I started mixing my own records.
Yeah.
So I was I was doing both things.
Balancing
Yeah,
both.
exactly. And I knew I kind of really had a good idea that I was gonna eventually do the switch when I started enjoying the process that came after recording the record and actually getting into like the
Yeah.
nerdy, geeky, technical stuff.
Yeah.
Then
That's where all the fun
actually,
happens.
exactly.
It really
Then
is.
actually going through like, the writing process, which is all amazing still to me. But when that started really happening and taking over, I started taking other like gigs from other artists, and then I ended up not really having much time for my music, which was like maybe I'm not even really trying to make time because I'm just enjoying this so much that this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it happened. But there's little seeds of like me becoming a mix engineer since I was 14. I just didn't really know it. The way I got started was my friend from my neighborhood who actually still makes music. So shout out to Praise. I've known him since we were 7 or 8. Once we hit 13, 14, we're like, so what? So you just rhyme like to rap? That's the whole thing? And we're like, we could do that. So we just started messing around. We actually have like cassette recorded. Like we used to record in the cassette. So then we got our little program. His mom bought him a little setup, and then we started doing that. And what happened was we started just jumping on a bunch of like 50 Cent instrumentals and like all the early 2000s like
Dude,
hits and stuff.
that's exactly what my brother and I do. I mean, my brother and I are not rappers or anything.
Right.
But like before we go, because we wake up every day like at 3:30 in the morning to go work out, and before we have like 15 minutes where we're like, you want to play some lo-fi beats?
Yeah.
Or like let's just spit some
You
rhymes
asked
real
to
quick.
get a little freestyle
And like I don't know, like I'm not a rapper, but it just feels so good to let out that voice.
Oh man, I'm telling you. And so that happened, and then what ended up happening was, we had to set up, and then he's like, you know what, I'm tired of jumping on other people's beats. He's like, we need our own, because we were like a duo thing, right?
Yeah.
I was like, cool, that sounds good. So then he got his Fruit Loops on, and then started making little beats and stuff, and then he started writing the raps, doing the beats, and I was like, cool. And then he was like, dude, we need people on our hooks. Like, we have no singers. Like, we don't know anybody. He's like, I'm going to start singing. So I was like, you serious? He's like, yeah, I'm going to start singing. So he started like, I don't know how, man. He started singing. He's actually a really amazing singer now. And then he was singing on our hooks. He was doing our beats. He was writing the raps. And I would just come in there like, write my rap, and I'm done.
Yeah.
So what happened was I just felt like I wasn't doing enough for the team. And I didn't want to be dead weight. So I was like, hey, what can I do for us? Like, how can I help? I see that you're doing a lot. And he was like, well, you should maybe learn how to mix. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just pressing a bunch of stuff. He's like, our stuff still sounds like crap.
Yeah.
So I was like, at that time, I didn't even know I was mixing. I was 14. So I was like, okay. So one thing with me is like, when I love something, when I'm passionate about something, I'm borderline obsessed, man.
That's me, dude. That's me.
Dude,
all in.
From all in. Like,
or nothing.
I jump in, man.
Yeah.
None of that 1 foot in, no, man. So I read books on it. I did research on it. I looked up information on it. I even went to the library. People still go to the library nowadays to just get even more info on it, man, just to see what it was about. Who was the go-to engineer 30 years ago? Is he still around making records now? Like, how's the industry now? So I did all that, and then the more and more I got into it, it kind of just started like really taking over, and it almost showed me like, this is what you're meant to do, Will.
Yeah.
And
you felt like I could do this.
Exactly.
Like, this is me.
Exactly. So if it wasn't for my boy Praise just taking over, wearing every hat in the situation.
So is he still with?
He is. He actually is. He's an
Dang.
amazing.
And he works with you?
We still work together.
Day-to-day basis, or?
Not daily, because he also has his own team of producers he works with. But sometimes he sends me records to mix, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's doing well. He does amazing work. And before we leave out, I'll show you some of his stuff.
Yeah,
it's great.
Definitely. Dang. So I want to know, like, in those periods of time that you felt like probably frustrated or confused with what you were doing, how did you handle that? Like, did you just like work harder, or like did you guys talk about that? Did you guys like sit down and talk about like that frustration that like you want to do something, you don't know how to do it, like I'm trying to do this, or was it just like go?
It was just go, because like I was like initially already like interested in it. So like just out of curiosity, like I wanted to know everything about it, every aspect. Like who's who's doing it now? You know, who did it 30 years ago? I looked up who mixed Michael Jackson's Thriller. I was looking up my favorite records, and I was like, you know, Googling like who worked on this,
Yeah.
who worked on that, and then once I found that engineer, I was like, what else did he work on? He worked on a bunch of my favorite records. I like this guy.
Yeah.
And then you start with developing an ear for these kind of things. You're like, man, this guy actually has a style.
Yeah.
Like I can, like now sometimes I can hear a record, like especially if it's like a pop record or a rap record, and like I can almost guess who mixed it because there's only about 10 to 15 of the top engineers working on the Billboard's top 100. Like
Who's your top three?
Top three, any genre specifically. I would
Any
say
genre or level.
Okay,
It could even be local.
Man, I would say my first one would probably be Tom Elmhurst. I believe he's from England. He does a lot of like the Adele stuff, a lot of the Sam Smith stuff. My second one would be Manny American, who's actually Guatemalan, and I'm half Guatemalan. So
Oh, yeah?
I thought that was dope. I was like, what?
Half Guatemalan and what's the other half?
Half Guatemalan, half Honduran.
Wow.
So he does all the, like the Bruno Mars, he does the Weeknd, he does it all. And then my third would be the guy named Jason Joshua. He's actually from the Valley where I'm from. Went through like the whole mentorship with Dave Pensado, who's another great engineer. That was his mentor, but he's smashed in the game right now, bro. If you look up Jason Joshua, he probably like mixed 3 of the top 10 records right now on the list. So
That's crazy. Big
yeah,
achievements.
those are probably like people that I listen to their mixes and I'm like, geez, like I can't wait till I get there, man. That's insane. But those are my.
So I bet like just looking right now, you have like a lot of, you know, appreciation for everything that you went through. And like now before we started this whole podcast, you were saying how you understand the artist more because you were in the same position. So I feel like you're living through a little bit of like a success right now. You know, I feel like you're actually like doing something like every single day. Was there ever a point of time that you felt like you couldn't do it?
Oh, of course. I mean, 3-4 years ago, I remember like it was yesterday. I took my mother out to eat to just break it to her and be like, "Hey, Mom, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna try and do this full time. I know Dad's not gonna like it, but I need you on this one." And I literally remember telling her like, "Mom, give me 2 or 3 years. I promise you. Like, give me 2 or 3 years, and this is gonna be like a successful business. Like, I promise you." And my mother's amazing, man. She was like, you know, I'm with you 100%. Like, go for it. And at that time, like, I wasn't doing very well. Like, my client base wasn't there. My equipment, my quality wasn't there. Maybe even my knowledge. You know, I'm always learning. I love to learn, man. So, wasn't there as well. And you forward to now, and sometimes I'm booked 3 weeks ahead of time. Like, you can't, like, if someone hits me up and is like, "Hey, can I book Tuesday?" It's already like, you know. Sometimes some of my clients I've had it for like years are like, "Damn, bro, it's so hard to book you now. I used to book you like it was nothing. I used to book 4 days, and now it's like, how about that? No, it's booked. How about that?" I was like, here's my schedule. Pick out a day. And I'm blessed, man, because that shows people are trusting. They're trusting you with their art. And it's such a huge deal, whether you're a dancer or a graphic designer.
Oh yeah, to send our video, like to send this video to edit someone.
Right.
Like I feel like I have to be looking over their shoulder.
Right. That's
like,
what I'm
are you
saying.
sure? Are you gonna cut this right? Are you
Yeah.
gonna do this right? It's a big deal in art to be a collaborator. Like last year, I think if I would have handed this video for someone to edit, I would have had a heart attack.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and that's how
And-
I am with my work. Like, you know, sometimes I have, I used to work on any record that came my way. I had to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like I needed to survive. I needed to make a living out of it. And now, like you forward to now, and it's like I've worked so hard that, and I care so much about quality and brand. If you speak to any of my clients, when they walk into my studio, like they know that that's what I'm about. If we need 2 hours just to get this second verse right, I don't care. Like I'm there with you 2 hours. Like we'll grind it out. And you forward now, and it's like I kind of feel like my business, my studio is at a point where like I've kind of outgrown myself faster than I thought. I didn't think I was gonna be here this fast. That like I have a little small team, like I was explaining to you before, that have to help me with like daily essentials that aren't super music related, but they keep the business running,
Yeah.
and that's what some people don't
You know,
don't
go
understand.
ahead and take a moment to shout out your team, man.
Yeah, I
Shout out
have
your
to.
team,
That's
because
what I
that
was.
team is so important. I didn't
Yes.
realize that, like, for a whole year, for maybe like my first 21 years of my life, I said it's me, myself, and I. That was the way I thought, and that's what I thought art was. That's what I thought business was. But in reality, like, you need that team. So
Oh
shout out
man,
that
no,
team
I
right now.
have
Like,
to, man.
shout it out.
My shout out. She handles all my invoices. So when all my clients, you get an invoice and it's all perfect and organized. That's Vete doing all that. So Vete niece, thank you so much for helping out. The other person who handles all like my media stuff and like newsletter, my certain email for the studio and represents the brand is Karina, and I've known her since high school. So I definitely just want to thank you guys because you guys played a major role, and my girlfriend too, because she knows how crazy the stuff gets, and she's very supportive no matter how busy I get. So I got to give her a shout out as well.
Sweet. So, okay, so kind of going back to your whole studio, I feel like I want to go check it out.
You got to come down, man.
Yeah.
Like
So
if
what
you're
kind of
ever around,
things do you do? You do the audio engineering, audio mixing?
Yeah, so what I do is, if let's say you're a rapper right now, right? You wrote your song, you have a beat, whether you got it from YouTube or you have a friend who produces for you. You bring it to me and you're like, I want the best quality out of this. I want a polished record that when I upload it to Spotify, it's amazing. So obviously book you. You come to the studio, and once you get there, we go over what's the vision for your, what inspired you, what do you want it to sound like, so and so. I like to have a certain vision of what your vision is, because
Yeah.
I tell people it's your wedding, I'm just invited.
Mm.
So you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't want to step on anybody's toes and be like, hey, we should do this. You know, it's you got to learn how to address people too as an engineer and to keep that client consistent. And once we do that, I record you. Now that's the part where it can differentiate from different studios. It's like I buy only quality stuff. Like if I have to save up for however long it is to get that, because I know it's gonna be good for my studio and my clients, then I do that. So I have a variety of microphones. I'll listen to your voice and be like, that mic will sound good on your voice through this compressor, through that mic.
How about
preamp.
this mic?
That's,
Sound okay?
Michael Jackson's Thriller was recorded on this.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, this
I
is
didn't
an
know that.
excellent mic. Yeah, not just for podcasting. Like you can
Yeah.
actually record legit sounding vocals on this. There's a bunch of people that love this mic. So yeah, and then with my ears over the years, I can tell what would sound good. There's so many different microphones are for many different purposes. What preamp, everything that goes through the signal chain matters. All of it matters. Even if you buy $10,000 signal chain, but you buy $10 XLR cables, you're taking a shortcut.
Yeah.
You gotta go all the way in. You gotta get the Mogami cables.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, once we establish what we're gonna use for your song, we go ahead and record your takes. Once it takes 2 to 4 hours, let's say, for you to record it, I take that. We discuss a decision where we want to take the mix to. What do you want it to sound like? Sometimes people are like, oh, I want this chorus to sound like that Travis Scott. Have you heard it?
Yeah.
And if I haven't, I'll pop it up on Spotify. Check it out. Cool, got the vibe. Let me do my thing now.
Yeah.
I go and I do it. I send you your mix. You hear it. If everything sounds good, it's ready to get mastered. If it's not, then obviously revisions.
Yeah.
Like we talk. You know what revisions are.
Revisions,
Yeah.
man. Those
So we do
they
revisions.
will kill you on video. It's just like you feel like you make an amazing project and you send it out and you go to sleep
That's
well, and
tough.
the next morning you wake up and you have 6-7 revisions.
You see
and
the
you're
email and you're so hyped that it's gonna be like
Oh.
everything's amazing done, and it's like, can you turn this part down? Can you put more delay on that? And it's like,
and because it's your art, it hits your heart.
yeah, of course,
You
of
know what I
course.
mean?
And it's like I tell my people, like, no matter what we have to do to get you where you want to get to, I'll get you there.
Yeah.
Like we'll get there eventually, but if we have to go through all these hurdles, and so be it.
Yeah.
Just because I'm so passionate about achieving what you heard here
Yeah.
before it was on actual song. Then we do that. If everything's good, then it gets mastered. Once the song gets mastered, that's the final step. That's literally done. And then it's up to you how you choose to promote of it. And if you have a team, then you go forth with that kind of decision.
So
And that-
for somebody else that is, by the way, that's a extreme process. I feel like you just took like a minute to explain it, but it takes so long to book and to process all of that. Like it's like a video. It's interesting because when you see an art piece like a video being done, or like a song being done. You listen to it and you go, okay, that was cool. But when you break it down and you stretch it out and see all the people that were into it and all the people that like contributed to the piece of art, all the time that it took, you know, not every person sees that. Nobody sees like the light, the cameras, the action.
Of
Like
course.
they all just see the final product, and it's like it was just like that easy,
Right.
You know,
I've
just film it
I
or
did
just
a
record
record
it.
with one of my one of my favorite clients, just because I've been working with him so long, so we understand each other so well. His name's Nine Some. We worked on his album for like a year and a half, man, to get it to where we felt like we're ready to share it with the world. We're ready for other ears to listen to it other than our inner circle. And there's songs where like we listen to it and we got to put live bass in the song. So we got to hire someone that plays bass. Obviously, it's been cool. I've known so many musicians. I'm able to be like, hey, I have a gig for you. Like one of my client needs bass,
Yeah.
electric guitar, piano, drums, whatever it is it needs. You have to work on other people's schedules as well. Like when can you come in and put track on this? Okay, we got that. We still have to put the violin on the outro section. It's like, well, let's go find someone that plays the violin.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, and it's one song can literally take 2 months to like fully complete, and then be like, okay, it's ready for mixing, and then you enter that stage, and that whole stage can be anywhere from 2 weeks to a month to 3 days. It just really depends on
And
the record.
then
man.
revisions.
And then revisions, and then more revisions,
Yeah.
and then you get to the master, and then you're like, once you listen to it and it's all done, you're like, man, I started that song 4 months ago. You know, so it's
That must feel good.
oh
So
man.
how about some advice for somebody that's trying to like before we wrap it up, I wanna get a few things. Some advice for somebody that's starting out and feels like I can't do it, or I feel lost, or I feel scared, or I feel like a failure. Give out some advice for somebody starting on the
My
same
advice,
industry.
no matter the age, I would say, you know, if you really want to do this and, you know, be a mix engineer and have your own studio and work on records, is you have to be borderline obsessed, man. You have to eat, sleep, everything this. My friends would tell you, like, some summers they would not see me because I'm working, dude. I'm in the studio. At the time, there was, like, no AC, so I'm, like, out here, like, just sweating bullets, man, like, just drowning in my own sweat, but I was trying to figure out what that EQ did. I was trying to figure out why that didn't sound right, you know?
Yeah.
But like, and then that's part of the thing. It's like once you get to that level, you have to understand that like all that sacrifice that you did, man, it's worth that and 100 times over. So if you really want to do this,
that knowledge that
is
you
just
gain.
be a good person. First of all, have good people skills, because that's gonna make sure you keep the clients that you know you get work from. And you have to be about quality, man. You cannot take shortcuts, especially now that it's a lot more, I would say, affordable to have your own studio. You cannot cut corners, man. You have to put the time in. You can't be scared to put the time in. Like, you cannot love your sleep. If you want to join this business, you can't love sleep, man. You really
like
can't.
that.
You have to put the time in. So I think once that initial fire of you really like, this is what I want to do, and I'm willing to do anything. Even if you have to cut some of your friends off, like from going out every
Oh,
weekend.
yeah, man, that's gonna
even if
be-
you have to be like, you know what,
gonna
you know,
have to happen.
I can't, you know, date someone seriously right now because I'm working on myself. Like, you have to do it, man. You have to dig deep and
So borderline obsession.
borderline obsession.
it is.
That's what it is, man.
How about I have two more questions. One is while I continue doing Shut Up and Fail and all these different podcasts and my vlog series, what type of advice would you give me just from seeing my work?
Man, I reached out to you because your work was so great. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be a part of this. I thought what initially captured me was the title. I think you picked an amazing title for the podcast, like "Shut Up and Fail."
Shout out to Rebecca. I told her one night, like, how about Shut Up and Fail? And she goes, yes. And then I recorded a podcast that same day. I was like, I'm not even gonna think about it. Okay, so we're always failing. My cameras only record for 30 minutes, so they just like turned off, but we're back on.
Nice.
Last question that I had for you is if you had to, actually, since we have a little bit more time, I would like to keep you on here for a little longer.
I'm fine, dude.
Sweet.
I'm fine. I took a long drive. I got time.
Perfect. So the question I wanted to ask is if you had to name your entire career with one word, what would that word be?
If I had to name my entire career as far as like what
Your
I
journey.
provide, my journey, progression. No matter where I am, and even now, I set even more goals for myself. I'm so competitive. I'm an athlete, So I've always have a competitive
Yeah.
nature. So it's like I set goals for myself, and when I do get to those goals, I'm like, okay, you did good.
Yeah.
Here's another goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in competition with myself, man. I
Yeah.
don't compare my success to any other people. Everyone has a different journey.
Yeah.
So it's just that. It's literally taking goals and doing them. Once you do that, set another goal. I
Yeah.
never settle, man. You have to grow.
I love that competitive vibe because, well, for me, I started out like as an athlete, obviously, and then
Okay.
also doing art. So as an athlete, anytime I'm competing against anyone on anything, even if I'm good or not, I tell myself I will beat you.
Yeah.
It might not be today, but I will freaking beat.
Yeah.
I will beat you. Like I'm gonna win. So like when I started out dance, I started out at 17 years old. So I was dancing next to 5-year-olds. You know, it was really,
Oh, wow,
it was
okay.
really like almost
That's
kind of like an
interesting.
embarrassing like thing for me. But I saw this dancer that he's a professional dancer named Casey Askew, and I looked at him and I said, I will destroy you in dance. But I couldn't even do anything.
Right. At
And
the
so
time.
like, you know, training, leveled up, and then I became a dance teacher, and it was just like this process that like I became not even borderline, like 100% obsessed with this whole process of
Right.
getting there. And finally, I went to this competition that it was called Mr. Star Power. Like you competed for this title to be Mr. Star Power for the year, and it was me, and then a bunch of other guys, and then him.
Okay.
And I just told myself like I'm gonna win this shit right
Yeah.
now.
How
And-
many years they gone by?
Oh man, I was maybe 3 years.
Okay.
Only 3 years.
That's
dude.
for
Only
you to
3
just
years.
begin. That's not bad, man.
And I mean, this guy was like 6th place on So You Think You Could Dance.
Oh shoot.
So
you had a
I won Mr. Star Power.
congrats.
and-
That's sick.
Yeah, and now I'm still a dance teacher for this studio called Just Plain Dancing. So I'm always training people, and I just felt like that's when I really looked at myself and said like, you're crazy. Like, you know, this is crazy. Like, you know, that competitive vibe, I wouldn't trade being a competitor for anything. Like an artist is an artist, but you know what? I'm not afraid of any artist because it takes well, first that business mindset,
Right.
and then it also takes that competitive vibe. That's why I tell everybody, I'm not afraid of artists because they're going to sit there and they're going to do their art,
You know,
but
some
I'm going to
people
win.
find that competitive vibe intimidating. I don't get it.
I love it, man.
I don't get
I
it,
love
man.
it.
I thrive on it, man.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, every year I've had a goal for my business, and I've beat it. And some goals I've beat by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, I'm not done. Like, how about we do this?
Yeah.
I want to do this. Which is funny because I've always, as weird or cheesy as it might sound, I've always wanted to do a Christmas album. Christmas isn't even my favorite holiday, but
Yeah.
like I've always wanted to have at least one Christmas album with an R&B singer. And I didn't get to do it last year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it this
Do
year.
it this year?
I'm gonna do it this
Do
year.
it. It doesn't
man.
even sound cheesy
you
at
know,
all.
It's just like I've always wanted to do one.
Yeah.
Let's have that in my resume. Like I worked on a Christmas
Yeah,
record.
I want to challenge you, man. You got to do that. I'm gonna hit you
I'm
up.
gonna do it.
I'm gonna hit you up throughout this year, and I'm gonna ask you, where's that Christmas album? Because I need to be listening to it. I'm gonna have that hot cocoa and listening to this album.
Man, it's gonna be on all the aisles on big lots and 99-cent stores, man. When
Let's
you
do
go
it.
there. So yeah, I tell you, it's when you do this, you really have to be like super committed, man, and go for it and be competitive and every time you reach something, man, just top that off. Like set up another goal. And
It's another level.
you're always learning in this game.
Yeah.
You're always learning, and if you're open to that, I think you're gonna get far in whatever business that is for
Yeah.
you.
I think that's a pretty good note to end it on, guys. So you guys are listening to Shut Up and Fail with Woodie Landeros.
Will Santos, Goldmine Studios. Pleasure
Let's
to
go.
be here, man.
Yeah, so let us know where we can find you before we cut this.
My Instagram is at Goldmine Studios, or you can go to my website, goldminestudios.com, and check some of my work, how the studio looks, what we can provide for you, artists, and hit up my email there. My contacts all there.
Sweet. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.